Hey guys, Colin Caruso here, Artistic Director of Color for John Paul Mitchell Systems. I wanted to share with you guys some tips and tricks for toning. It's something that we always consider really easy, but some of these can make the biggest difference in refinement. Some of the tips and tricks I have for you guys is number one, try to see color how your guest sees it. Before you even start picking a toner, you really want to identify how your guest sees color. You want to be able to do it through pictures. Sometimes caramel to a guest is completely different than caramel might be to you. So connect visually right out of the gate. Secondly, don't jump the gun. One of the biggest mistakes a lot of stylists make is they always try to choose their toner before their color is even processed. And usually what happens, guys, is you want to actually rinse the color out and towel dry it, which is really another key factor. Hair color looks different when it's wet versus when it's dry. I know we don't always have time to tone on completely bone dry hair. Really towel dry it so when you touch the hair, it's actually no water or moisture comes back to your hand and you can really see what's present. What I like to do then is react to the colors that I see. If you're seeing yellow tones and you want to get rid of those colors, obviously we know to go across the color map or 3 primaries in equal parts, create a neutral. If we know we're looking at yellow and we want to go across the color map, we're going to add the missing primaries, which are red and blue, or which quite simply in this case is our 10V. You also want to look at the difference between level and tone. Level works in the degree of lightness or darkness. What makes a natural level is a dominant pigment exposed underneath. I think that's really, really important, but what makes saturation level a saturation level is the amount of dye available in the tube. You want to make sure how much dye I want to put back into a space. We're not just choosing level 9s because the guest wants to be a 9. Sometimes tones directly affect level as well. Cool tones absorb light, so a 9V might look cooler or darker than a 9G. Those colors tend to be a little differently based on how light interacts with those tones. One of the biggest mistakes I think a lot of artists make is they choose these colors, and sometimes we make our blondes too dark by always going cool, cool, cool. Every guest will always tell you the same thing, majority. I don't want to see any warmth, I don't want to see any brassiness, I don't want to see any red. So we as colorists always kind of live in these cooler tones, especially within our blondes. But it's really, really important to understand that those cool tones are going to appear deeper or darker as that light gets absorbed. So this is a perfect example why we came out with our level 10 series in the Demi. They're cool, they're beautiful, but they're at a brighter level to make sure that you're keeping the intensity or the lightness of the blonde that you want and getting rid of the colors and the tones that you don't want to see. So they're a perfect fit for the busy stylist behind the chair, and I think you guys are going to have a lot of success and fun with them. So let's talk application. Application is huge when you guys are talking about toners. Sometimes it's something that we take for granted, but you always want to think about texture too. If that hair is baby fine around the hairline, apply last. You know, it's one of those things, again, smaller space, finer hair, it's going to absorb more color. So I like to leave that baby hairline out and apply that towards the end. Other tips and tricks that we have, really kind of be meticulous in how you guys actually apply your toners. Even if you're doing it back at the sink, have the guest sit up. What I love about our Demi series is that I can apply it too with a bottle or a bowl and a brush. So what I really like to do is I like to apply the regrowth first, and I go in with really 1/8 of an inch sections, really, really tiny, tiny little sections, applying right at that regrowth with a bowl and a brush. That gives me the accuracy and the detail that I need within the brush. And then once that's all done, I'll simply start to comb that color back with a wide-toothed detangling comb, work it in through the mid-shafts, and then I go right in with a bottle. That bottle really enables me to save a lot of time through the ends and saturate those ends. Also be careful, sometimes hair color is different at the regrowth than it would be at the end. So one of the biggest tricks that we forget to take advantage of is sometimes you need 2 different formulas. You know, if the guest is pulling really warm at the regrowth, they're a level 8 at the regrowth and a 9 on the ends, then I'm going to adjust my formula to make sure that it works out. I might go in with a little bit of a deeper color at the root and a little bit of softer color on the end. So don't be afraid, guys, to really use more than one tone. Our next tip is on how you guys would check your toners. For me, what I like to do is let it sit for at least for that 5. And then if I'm concerned, I'll take the towel and I'll start to towel blot that color off. Just in one little fine section. Usually it's in the high point of the head where I will test. And I'll just take that towel and start to rub that color away and see what I have. It gives you a nice little visual so you guys can see if you need to leave it on longer or if you're ready to rinse. Toning is a huge part of our process, especially with fashion tones. Pre-toning is one of the keys to be really successful, especially when you guys are working with fashion colors and tones. So an example I can give you is even if we're looking for these beautiful strawberry colors or these icy kind of cool colors, one of the things I'll do sometimes is just neutralize that hair first. Being able to see what's present. Again, is it a level 9 that I'm looking at with a lot of yellow, coming in with a nice 10V from the Demi to neutralize that color, get rid of that 9, and then going over top of that maybe with a PN later. Layering kind of gives you guys a little bit more of an ability to get those kind of tones that you're looking for. Neutralizing first and then over depositing with the secondary color that you want to see. If you really want to be successful at toning, swatch. A lot of times our guests are getting their hair cut first in our salon, or you're cutting their hair previously. Take that blonde hair right off the ground, actually tape it together and go back and pre-swatch it. The last tip that I have is to let you guys know, don't ever skip on the toning process. It really does seal the deal. Typically when we're in these situations, we're using higher alkaline products, whether it's a lightener, whether it's a high lift or anything like that. And what I love about working with the toners, with the Demi in particular, is that it's going to actually bring the pH of the hair back down. It's going to make the hair a little bit healthier, a little bit stronger. It's going to add a lot more shine to it. So not only does it control the tones that you see, it also reflects light better, seals the deal, lays the cuticle flatter, and really kind of enhances the texture of the guest. And it really is the perfect finishing touching. So for me, one of the biggest tips I have for you guys as a colorist is don't forget to tone. All right, guys, so those are our tips and tricks to help you guys be a little more successful with blonding, a little more successful behind the chair, and hopefully generate a lot more income. Thank you guys for spending time with us, and we'll see you next time.